Do you really need an expensive bike to win a race? On my recent trip to Dubai, I took part in the UCI Granfondo with the cheapest bike I own. A Chinese bike with a mechanical 105 group set. And guess what? I won the race, and this is how. What's up guys, what's up cycling fanatics? This is the second time that I'm taking the family to Dubai. It's a combination of holiday and a training camp. It's mid-February where the weather was still terrible back home and I spent most of my time on the indoor trainer. Dubai actually has a whole network of about 200 kilometers of dedicated cycling path. Is it straight and flat and boring? Well, I'm used to that back home and the weather was so much better, so for me, it's perfect for training. A holiday with a bike and 3 kids with all the luggage is no joke. Mixing training and family time can be tough, but me and Daisy are becoming specialists. We stay in Town Square, right next to the start of the Al Qudra cycling track. Flexibility is key here. I could go for my training in the morning or in the afternoon, whenever this would fit, and then I would join them for the rest of the day. A coincidence was that the Spinneys Granfondo, the biggest local amateur race in Dubai, was held at the time of our trip, so I decided to give that a go. Even though I would race the UCI Granfondo, this was not the main goal. This trip was a big training block, so a reliable and worry-free bike was the priority. So I brought my lowest spec and cheapest bike I have. Chinese bike with a mechanical 105 11-speed group set. However, the Winspace T1550 is also my most aero frame, and this is a real high quality race bike, perfect for the fast flat roads of Dubai. But I had to make some key changes to this bike to make it work. First off, the wheel and tires. I swapped my favorite high-end race wheels, the full carbon Loon Megas, for a cheaper, more basic wheel set, the Yolio Pro Next. Crazy enough, the Yolios are even lighter than the Megas at less than half of the price. The main reason for the Next wheels is that they're using steel straight pull spokes, which are easy to replace in a local bike shop. For example, when they get damaged in air travel, a crash or whatever. Both wheels have different rim depth, but the Yolios are newer, they have a wider internal rim width, and that would make my 28C tires sit very nice. By the way, 28mm is wide enough on these silky smooth roads of Dubai. In this case, wider, in my opinion, would not be faster, and I was actually running higher pressure than usual because it was so smooth. I'm riding the Vittoria Corsa and not the Vittoria Corsa Pro tires, also for the same reason of durability, reliability, and in this case puncture resistance. A couple of watts would never make up for a 3-hour walk in the desert when the tire would fail. This Winspace was built with a Shimano 105 group set, and to be honest, Shimano 105, it is not top performance, but it actually works great. It's cheap and reliable, and in this video I'll show you that it's very possible to race it. However, one problem that I had, it came with a compact crankset.
Oh God, please no! No!
So 3450, that's way too small for the high speeds in Dubai. So I've swapped to a 3953 that I pulled off another bike. And oh, was I happy that I swapped those gears. The last thing I did specifically to this bike was hot waxing the chain with the optimized degreasing additive, and I was using their ultrasonic wax cooker. This completely removes the step of degreasing, and you can actually just put the brand new chain straight into the hot wax with this degreasing block. And the goal to test its durability in Dubai's dry and sandy conditions and to see how long it could last without reapplying any wax. I mean, the claims are up to 1,000 kilometers, and I was very reluctant to believe this, that it was even possible until now. Now, the price of this bike, like I said, this is kind of the cheapest bike that I have right now. We're looking at the T1550 frame at Winspace, that's only $1,049 US. The Zero SL handlebar in 38 centimeters, so nice and narrow. 290 USD. And then with the code Cycling Fanatics, you take 10% off and the totals at 1205 USD or 1062 euros with free shipping. The wheels from Yolio, the 50s, are 999 USD. With the code Cycling Fanatics, that's only 899 or 792 euros. And then the Shimano 105 group set, brand new, it's about 550 euros. With some small parts like pedals, tires and a saddle, we're looking at roughly 2700 euros. And that's the bike that I bring to the most bling bling place in this world, where the S-Works logo seems to be the standard. During our stay, the UAE Tour was passing Dubai, and on stage 5 they were actually passing Town Square and the Al Qudra cycling track. So I messaged my friend Volker, who was in Dubai at that time. I came up with the idea to photobomb the World Tour broadcast. Yeah. We do a quick stop at the mosque. They have nice cold water here. So we've done 6-second sprint, 30-second sprints. We've done one set of VO2 max intervals. We've got one more set to go. But we're getting a bit hot. It's 35 degrees Celsius. So cooling down a little bit before we do that second set. Otherwise, you're just cooking yourself and it's not really efficient training. So doing the last set and then we'll wait for the peloton to ride along with the race. We timed it perfectly to line up with the UAE Tour breakaway at the end of our training, along the stick of Al Qudra, where the bike lane is super close to the road. This was the perfect spot to get some airtime, and this is how we did it. We waited for them to arrive, and then Volker, he started pulling us up to speed. There were a lot of other guys who had the same idea. We were dodging them because they were all over the bike lane. They all started to hang on our wheel. As the breakaway group got closer, Volker pulled off and then I was at the front. Now the most important was to get some content for the gram, so I pulled out my phone. I got this shot from riding next to the World Tour breakaway with that selfie, and then all of this is captured on my Insta360 X4, which I attach on the front of my bike. The X4 shoots 360 degrees around, so I can also zoom in on the pro riders and can show you all these details from different angles, and it's all from the same camera. Now I dropped the speed down a little bit so the guys from the breakaway would come next to me, and now I'm accelerating back up to their speed. So that's why I'm pushing these very high numbers. I can hear you think 600, 700 watts, that doesn't match with doing 47k an hour, but I'm accelerating into the wind from 46 to 52k an hour, riding next to the breakaway of the UAE Tour. We've got Pogacar in the break, and obviously they're rotating with 12 riders, so they're not all pushing these numbers. I'm by myself at the front trying to match their speed, and there's only one guy left in my wheel. The rest has all dropped out. I give him a go. He goes to the front, pushes what he has. I'm in his wheel, but the speed is dropping down, so it doesn't take very long, and I give it a last push towards the front to be right next to those pro riders. It was a fun day, but I'm super tired. I give a big shout out, a big wave to the camera, shaka in the air, and that's it. It was so fun to do this, and I got cycling fanatics from all over the world sending me little clips, screenshots of recordings of the broadcast. We were on the Instagram of Eurosport. I think it was successful, not a bad training day, and it was all just for the fun of it. Normally, I would, do some extra prep on my bike the day before a race, like apply some drip wax to the chain, but not this time. The chain was still smooth after about 600 kilometers, so I figured I would see how far I could stretch it. Including today, I've done over 800 kilometers on this chain, and the chain is still, cassette super noisy, the chain is still super smooth. It's clean. Smooth, clean, it was awesome. I didn't have to touch it at all here in Dubai. Yes, I can hear a little bit of that like metally sound starting right now, but good stuff. Get your optimize right here. Use the link, hotwax, drip wax, ultrasonic wax cooker, degreasing additives. They have it all. Now let's go to the race. There's a 3-hour time difference with the Netherlands and Dubai, and we tried to keep to Dutch time to make it easier for the kids to go back to school right after the holiday.
It's 4 o'clock in Dubai. It's 1 o'clock Dutch time. Very early.
I would go to bed well past midnight every day, but the race started at 6 o'clock in the morning and I had to be there before 5 because all the roads would be closed, so that was kind of tough. I spoke to a few people about this race and I heard it was usually pretty hectic and crashes happened frequently. On itself, that wasn't anything new for a race, so I was not too worried. I just did not have any idea of the level of the riders and how fast it would really go. The race was only 92 kilometers, so that's actually very short for Granfondo, and especially with these high speeds I estimated only little over 2 hours of race time. In most UCI Granfondo and World Series gravel races, the start order is in age groups. As you've seen in my World Championship videos, this system doesn't really work in my opinion, and they did a lot better job here in Dubai by making start boxes on the estimated performance or the previous results of races here in Dubai. For this race, I was actually asked to write some kind of motivation letter with previous performance to be eligible to start in the first box. Well, luckily I got accepted, otherwise I had no shot even at a proper result. And I found out that they had a massive prize purse, so I was even aiming on winning some cash today. So here we go through the start line of the Spinneys 92, first year officially part of the UCI Granfondo series, and I've got my Insta360 camera again, so I can rotate the camera around to view everything in front and behind me. And we're starting at the 2020 Expo. We did a loop. It was still neutral, but it was pretty sketchy, very hectic, a lot of left-right turns and narrow path. This wasn't very ideal, but I think it was a box that the organization had to tick off. We would get onto the main road pretty quick. Now, I spoke to a few riders at the start line and they helped me point out some of the strong riders and teams, which I'll go over a little later. It seemed like it was mostly like the cycling community. It was quite a big cycling community here in Dubai, but there was quite a few international riders as well. It started super dark, pitch black, but it would get light very soon. Right now we're still in the neutral area, but here we go. This is the start of the race and you'll see the speeds picking up very soon. So I had not really decided on my race strategy in this race because it seemed to be relatively short, very big road, so the speeds would be very high. So you're looking at like 2 hours of race time, a lot of drafting, a big peloton. So not sure if there would actually be a breakaway, but if there would be one, I definitely want to be in it. Riding a break would also be way better training than sitting in the peloton all day. But if it stays together, I want to set up for a good sprint, so then I'm looking to conserve as much energy as I can. As you can see in this footage, I'm doing 40-45k an hour and I'm coasting half of the time. I'm pushing like 0 watts. That's just because the draft in a big peloton like this is so big that it makes it super easy actually to stay in the peloton and to go 40, 45, 50k an hour. So not very good training for a day, but if it was gonna stay together, I wanna be conserving my energy for that sprint finish. Now let's have a look at the front of this race. So here we go. At the front, definitely more action than back in the peloton. And you can make this race super hard. If you drive at the front the whole day for 2 hours straight, it's going to be super tough. So you see the difference between riding at the front and back in the peloton. Right now I'm coasting, but to be able to follow these moves every time, you're burning a match every time. So another way to do it is to stay in the back and let the whole peloton move up the speed and slow down, and it all evens out all these snappy accelerations. But at this point I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I want to see the dynamics of this group. I want to see what's going on in the race, which riders seem to be strong or not. And we're only 8k in the race, so just a start, but there's a lot of riders pushing hard to try to get away. But like I said, the speeds are so high, the drafting is so big that it's super hard to get away at these speeds. This race was definitely flat, but these bridges, these flyovers, were kind of the only elevation we had. So that's a couple meters up, couple meters down. It slowed down the speed a little bit, like now to 33k an hour. Once we go down, you go back up to 60, but there was no climbing whatsoever. So for me, pretty good circumstances. In this race were a few strong riders and a few teams. So we've got the Dubai police with the green, the white and green stripes. They brought their sprinter here on the pink gray bike. They had like 20 or 30 riders. They were all over the place. And then on my left here in blue, that's Astero Falcon. Those are Russian continental riders, so they are very strong. And then there's a few riders in yellow on my right here. That's the Wolfies team, so they have a few strong riders. And then there's a whole bunch of individual guys. As you just saw, there were some random sketchy moments also in this peloton. Some people really overreact, some underreact. So it didn't feel like this group of riders was very experienced, but that's usually actually what you get with these Granfondos. It's a mix of very strong riders without experience, very strong riders with experience, and then there's the random weekend warriors in the mix who are able to push good numbers, but only for a short amount of time. So always be careful when you ride these races and keep an eye out what's in front of you. Now the layout of this race over the 95 kilometers, I mean there were a few corners, but not a lot. It was mostly straight, mostly like 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes wide. So it's a very specific dynamic in this race, especially when it's so wide. It seemed like not always there was like a proper peloton. It was like just whole waves of riders going all over the place. Right now we're approaching a 180-degree turn, which I can see on my head unit, but I don't know how sharp this turn is or whatever. So I will be moving up to the front a little bit to go check it out. There's always this big accordion effect in a peloton. So when there's a corner and everybody starts braking, the guy in the back slows down way more than the guy in the front. So if you want to conserve energy, it's actually better to move up to the front, not at the front, but close to the front when there's corners in the course. In this case, it was a 180-degree turn, but it was so big that the speed stayed up super high, and yeah, it's like the highway's turning to the left. It's not even a corner. That most of the corners were like this in this race, except for the last few kilometers. Now these corners are also a good opportunity to move up without using a lot of effort, because sometimes you'll see people riding through the wind around the peloton to move up, and that just takes a lot of effort. But if you time it right, you can do it so that if it's just before a corner, you move up and you just overtake 20, 30, 50 riders just like that, and you're back at the front, and it doesn't take a lot of energy. So be very smart when you do or when you don't try to overtake, especially in these races with big pelotons. There's a natural movement within these riders, and if you use that to your advantage, you can stay close to the front without using that much energy. Another thing I saw happen a lot in this race is people taking their hands off the bars and trying to push others to their hips to keep their spot. I mean, I told the guy next to me, keep your hands on the bars. What are you doing? If there's no spot for you, then there's no spot for you. If you want to claim your spot, then you should do that, but you can't start pushing other riders away with your hand. It makes it super dangerous, because when you only have one hand on the bar, you get unstable. If somebody else taps you, you crash. So I don't know why. I saw it multiple times during the day, and I usually don't see it that much. But guys, if you ride Granfondos, there's no reason why you should be taking your hands off the bars. If somebody's moving up into your line, that's racing, guys. You can't ask somebody else to stay away just because you want to be there. Anyway, guy in front of me using his 360 camera on his seat rail, and I'm back at the front. As you saw in that corner, I moved up within one corner from mid-pack to the front. And we're about 28k in the ride. We're still all together. So I'm at the front. I can see what's going on. There's no breakaway. No riders are gone from the peloton. So that's all safe. Just trying to keep an eye on what's going on here. A little later, 35k in the race, there are a few riders up the road, but they don't have a big gap just yet, and I can see what's going on. So I'm just chilling. I'm trying to conserve energy. I had one tip from a Dutch rider actually who told me that at some point around 65k, I think, there was a good opening, a good moment where a breakaway could form.
Riding back towards the start, still wind. Speeds are still very high, so it will be difficult to stay away. And it's super easy in the drop now. So
I made the topic of this video my cheap bike. Have a look, man. On my right there's an S-Works, on my left there's an S-Works, on my right there's another S-Works, on my left there's another S-Works. S-Works is the trend, man. I know there's a big specialized store in Dubai. It's crazy what people spend on bikes here and what kind of bikes they are riding. But I just want to tell you guys that you don't need a 15,000 euro bike to be ready to race. I'm not saying the S-Works is not a good bike, but spend your budget wisely. The most important part of your bike is a good wheel set. Look at this guy, by the way, on an old school rim brake Super 6. How awesome is that? One of the most awesome bikes still on the road. We are 38k in the ride. We're halfway there, and it's still easy peasy in the peloton. Right here, I'm all the way in the back, like as far in the back as you can, the back side of the peloton, because I had to pee so bad. I took a lot of water with me in this race, but because the intensity was so low, if you're riding at a low intensity, your body just, you know, starts to produce a lot of pee, and then I need to pee. But if you go full gas, your body would just lock everything up and you won't have to go. So that's a big difference. So I had to really go. But Michael, this Dutch rider here, he actually gave me a hand by pushing me a little bit just before I would really get dropped off the peloton. And then here we're just chit-chatting a little bit about what's going on in the race. And he told me like there's a spot coming in like 65k in the race where I'm gonna give it a go. This might be a good spot to go for a breakaway. Until this point, I had an average power of 200 watts, guys. 200 watts, that's recovery zone for me, so super chill.
I just took a pee. I had to pee very, very bad. We're an hour and 8 minutes in the race. So far, super easy. I'm riding in the back now. Coasting half of the time. I have a look back at the front.
I'm going back to the front by trying to use as little energy as possible. My heart rate was pretty low, and I'll speed it up a little bit so you can see how I kind of move through the pack. And the pack was really spread out, so it wasn't super tight all over the place, like a really tight peloton that you sometimes see in the World Tour or on television. So there's a lot of space here, left and right, where I can just move through. And there's so much suction of the draft that it doesn't take a lot of effort. So if you're riding in this position, then yeah, you're just free coasting the whole time until you get to the front, and then you notice that you have to push like 350 to 400 watts to go this speed, but the difference is massive. So a race in Dubai isn't a race in Dubai without going through some big skyscrapers, and we're heading to the city right now. So all the roads that we are on are all closed off for this race. It's pretty crazy if you ask me. We're on the highways of Dubai, and it's really cool to ride on these roads. I have to say that. It's a cool experience because the speed is so high. As you can see right now, I'm doing 60+ k an hour, and that's why I needed those big gears, because if I would be riding my compact chainring right now, I would not be able to keep up, and you're just spinning too high and you won't be able to push power. So I'm doing good now with my bigger gears, and it was pretty cool to ride through this part of the city, and we've got about 30k to go right now. Alright, looking at this little map display in the top left, you can see at the bottom there's a 180-degree turn, and then it goes up and to the right. So this was the moment where there was a possibility to go into a breakaway. So I'm going to move up here towards the front, but I didn't want to be at the front. Didn't want to be, you know, wasting energy, pushing hard for nothing, but I wanted to be able to check out what's going on. I think the route of this race is pretty much the same every year. So a lot of riders have done it multiple times, and it goes kind of similar every year. I heard that almost every year it arrives at the finish in a peloton. Sometimes there is a breakaway, but it gets caught back before the finish. And if it breaks away, then this was the moment. So a lot of other riders know this, and they go to the front. The speed is going to pick up towards this turn and then afterwards. So going through the corner here, another, well, it wasn't very sharp, and then right here we're gonna put down some power to stay with the front. Now, one thing that was gonna make a big difference on a day like this, if it would be windy or not, but we're riding so early in the morning, and every morning in Dubai there's no wind, and then in the afternoon the wind starts to pick up. So if you would race in the afternoon and if it would be very windy, a road like this would actually be perfect to have it break away, because you go to the side, you put the guys in the gutter, you put 500 watts for a couple minutes, and then poof, it breaks into pieces. But without wind, that's impossible to do, because there will always be a blob behind you and a peloton forming, and there's no way to make that difference. So it's hard, and that's what you see right now. We're going 50k an hour. I'm in the front. It's one single file line, but it breaks down again and other guys take over, but it never really opens up. Until now, you see there's a few riders up the road. So actually, there is a couple guys split off, but it's such a big road where with so many riders, I was gonna be patient. Let's see what happens. I mean, if it doesn't stay away for a few minutes, then I don't have to start chasing them. I can always try to bridge if they really stay away, and that's going to be very difficult as well, but I can put in that effort if I need to. Right now there's enough riders who are chasing these breakaway guys, so there's no need for me to start doing that because there's other riders chasing already. Also, remember that there is a big team with a sprinter, so I couldn't see who was in this breakaway right now, but if it's not a few riders of this Dubai police team and they have their sprinter in the peloton, who do you think is going to bring up the speed and get back these breakaway riders? It's going to be the Dubai police team, of course, because they want to lead out their sprinter in the end, and if there's a breakaway without them, then they're going to put in the effort. But as I'm talking about it, the gap is already closed. It's already one big long single file line, and there's pretty much no gap anymore. So every time this was happening, guys would attack, and there's so many guys chasing it randomly that in the end it all forms one long line, and then there's virtually no more gap. Here we go into another 180-degree turn. I hit the gas, but then there's a gap, and I slide in behind this other rider, but I didn't really see that he was not chasing the rest of the riders, so there's a massive gap, so I decided to close it since I made the mistake of going behind him. But then the speed completely drops down. This is kind of the lull, and there's other riders who've been driving the pace on the front the whole time, and now they give up. This is the moment where you want to attack, because all these guys here, they've put in the effort to try and break away, and now they want to recover. I'm still fresh, I can go full gas if I want, so do other riders. So if you want to attack, this is the moment. But I wasn't looking to actually create that breakaway, and I was just surfing wheels. By now it's 20k's to go. I can see that this is probably going to end up in a mass sprint, so there's no use of trying to break away now, because it's just wasting your energy.
Mop.
So we're at 78k in the ride. We've got like 15k to go. And I just happen to be here where the Dubai police team is gathering together and chit-chatting, probably making some plans about the sprint finish. Look, this guy in the pink bike, who is their sprinter, somebody told me, he's talking to all these guys separately. So they are going to set up a lead out. That's my expectation. If you bring a big team like that and one guy is their sprinter, then they're going to lead him out, and you can take advantage of that. What I see here is one big dominant team with a lot of riders against a whole group of single riders and a few teams that have only 2 or 3 strong guys. I'm used to riding like this because I was racing in Los Angeles against Legion all the time, and they would show up on the criterium with 10 or 12 riders, and they would just dominate the whole thing by setting up a lead out for their sprinter. They had a guy guarding in the back and another guy guarding in the back, creating a big gap after them. So I'm going to talk you guys through the last 10 kilometers of this race and how I play this sprint finish. In the last 10k, everybody always gets excited, especially when it's still all together, and then there's so much individual riders. Look at this, man. What just happened? One guy overreacts, the other guy doesn't really react, swears into me, and we almost crash. These things are very difficult to avoid, and you will have to sort of trust on other riders' skills. What happens a lot is that people mistime their attack or their sprint or their efforts. So I'm going to tell you how I do this, because what we're going to see is a long line of Dubai police riders at the front driving the pace. What they want to do is create high speed so that they won't get swarmed by other riders and they keep their sprinter safe. The faster you go in the front, the harder it is for other riders to overtake you or to attack. So as long as the speed is super high, nobody will be able to break away from that. So then they keep everything together as a pack, and as long as they are in the front going fast enough, nobody wants to take their wheel, because everybody feels like they're doing a great job, they're keeping the pace high, and they're drafting behind them. But what happens is they will be in the front in a line, and then at their last wheel behind their sprinter, it's going to be a blob. Everybody's going to fight for that specific wheel, because everybody thinks if I'm in the wheel of their sprinter, then I'll probably have a good finish. Well, that's the most dangerous place to be. So not the most smart place to be, but you do want to be there at a specific moment in the race. So in the top left you see the last couple kilometers of this race. We'll have a few corners, and then there will be a few roundabouts. The day before I picked up my race number and I took the car to just drive the last 5 kilometers up and back, and there's a few roundabouts on a way more narrow road towards the finish. So I kind of knew what was coming up, and I knew when I had to be at the front. That's not the moment right now. We still have 10k to go, so there's still plenty of time. You want to draft as much as you can, you want to time it right, and patience is the word. Patience is super important for a sprinter, and that's also the most difficult, because you want to stay in the front, because you want to stay safe. You don't want to be in all those wheels, because the crashes are going to happen in the last couple kilometers. So it's a fine line of being either more to the front or more to the side of the peloton, so you can have ways out, and being inside the peloton to draft as much as you can. So right now I was falling back a little bit too much to my preference, so I'm moving up a little bit. It doesn't take me that much energy. I'm trying to stay close to the peloton and now have a good eye on the front, and you can see all these riders of one team at the front, just like I was expecting. Then there's the Astero Falcon guys here in the blue kit. The sprinter is on my left here on the black Aurum. I'm expecting something from them as well. I was expecting them to match the lead out of the Dubai police at the last moment. They don't have 20 riders available, so they can't do the same. So right now they're doing the same as me, and that's trying to draft. Then there's another few riders here in the front who are fast, and you'll see them later close to the finish. But I've moved up now quite some riders, and this is about the position where I want to stay. We're getting closer to the Dubai Expo site where the finish will be, so it gets more and more jammed up. Everybody is getting more excited. The riders will be closer together. More riders are trying to go around, just like this guy here, and you can actually use riders like that to move up. So if you want to move up towards the front, then you can just hang on to one of those riders. If they're riding all the way to the front, you get a free ride up there. Don't try to do it yourself. I found this guy that rides to the front, and I stay in his wheel. So that's my free ticket towards the front again. Try to find riders like this. There's always riders that will push towards the front. And you can see Dubai police along a single file line, they still have like 15 riders in the front, and they're already burning off riders. But those riders, they fall back so fast, which I think is really weird. Just go all the way to the side at least, but he falls straight through the peloton. It's a bit dangerous, so maybe they can work on that a little bit. 15 riders at the front driving the pace. Right now is the moment you need to pay attention. You don't want to fall back anymore, because you can go backwards so fast. Within 10 seconds you can be 50 spots back. So very important to keep an eye on what's going on and where the race is going towards. So if it's a right turn, you want to be on the right side of the road. If it's a left turn, you want to be on the left side of the road, because the inside usually is faster. Roundabout here, a really big roundabout in this case, 45k an hour over the roundabout, easy. And we're accelerating again. Speeds are going to ramp up. Remember, these guys at the front have a lot of riders to burn off, so they basically all take like a couple 100-meter sprint to keep up the speed as high as they can. So pushing hard here to stay with the pack, and I don't want to fall back anymore. If you're not moving up, you're moving back. That's how it goes. On the left here is start finish. We've got 2k out, 2k back. We're going under a tunnel right now, so this is going downhill. The sprint, the last 200 meters, will be uphill. One thing to remember. And you can see it's getting more chaotic, it's getting more crowded right now. Everybody wants to be at the front. Everybody is chasing that last wheel of that sprint train, like I said. And that's the place where you want to be, but it's the most dangerous spot to be. So I'm going to time it right. I don't want to be there now. I want to be there when it's time. Trying to defend my spot, as I said, try to move up. So here I have a little bit of a gap, so I move up, overtake 5-6 riders, and then we go over this roundabout. Check out the rider in blue here. I don't know what he does, but he burps his rear tire, causing kind of a bit of a mess. We are slowing down, having to push hard again. Another Dubai police rider is there, burned off, and we've got some speed bumps in this last couple K. This was a really cool sprint finish, and it's going fast, 54k an hour, so decent pace. Very nice job from these guys at the front. At this moment I'm using my momentum, because I wasn't pushing that hard, just to move up a few riders, and I want to stay on the side a little bit, because that gives me options. If I need to, I can go around to the left, go to the front, but I can also draft a little bit of the rider in front of me. If I would be more to the right in the back, I would have nowhere to go. I can't react, but now I can. Usually it doesn't take too long for other riders to go around you. Here there's a guy in blue. He goes next to me and he just starts riding into me. I don't know what he was thinking. I have nowhere to go. This guy is just bumping shoulders, and here I'm trying to persuade him to go to the front. There's a roundabout coming up. He doesn't really respond. I know what I need to do. I am going to move up and defend my position. If you let this inside open, other guys will swarm around you, and then you go from 10th till 20th spot, just like that. But now I guard my position on the inside of this roundabout, and I can sort of aim where I want to be. Now I misjudged it a little bit, because I actually thought this roundabout would be straight and the next one would be the 180. So now I end up all the way in the front here, which I don't want. We've got 2 kilometers to go. So I move to the side, let other guys move up, and then now I need to find a spot back into the train. Now this is a nice spot. A guy in blue is next to me, and I'm just trying to stay next to him. I'm not pushing into him. I'm respecting his position. and then usually it doesn't take long until other guys would come around me. Here's another Dubai police guy. Maybe he's gonna reinforce the sprint lead out, and I'm just matching whatever these guys are doing, trying to get a little bit of draft. The last couple corners will be to the right, and right there's another guy that I can draft off. This is a good spot. We've got a couple hundred meters to go, and there's still a few girls in the lead out train of the Dubai police. Now, with all respect, I don't think they should be here right now. It makes it dangerous. They are probably riding for their first position, or they're actually the blockers of their sprinter. So if they are on the wheel of their sprinter, then other riders like me can't be on their wheel. It's a strategy. Another Dubai police guy here is pulling off. He's done his job. So nice job by that team. I think they still have 2 guys in front of their sprinter, so they're gonna launch their sprint to lead him out, and then there's 3 or 4 riders in front of me. So I think I still have a good position. I need to wait. I need to be patient. I want to launch my sprint with about 200 to go, just as we come underneath that bridge. That's my plan right now. And the only thing I need to work with is this girl here on my right, because if she's gonna be there, she's gonna be blocking my sprint. Luckily, she gives me some space as we come over this roundabout, and I don't have to force myself into it. Now behind me you can see it's all single file, so it's nice and fast and in full focus right now. We've got 500 meters to go. On my left side there's the guy from Astero Falcon. It's their sprinter. He's trying to slide in. That's okay with me because I know what he's going to do. He's gonna launch it. We've got 300 meters to go. I'm getting ready for the sprint. I'm standing up. I've got high cadence, and now he's going, so I'm going in his wheel. He's practically giving me a lead out. We're already overtaking 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. The Moroccan guy here on my right side, very nice sprint position, full gas. I'm trying to get out of his wheel to go around, but I couldn't make it happen, so back in the slipstream, and I finished 3rd in the Spinneys 92 UCI Granfondo of Dubai. And with the 3rd place overall in the elite category, I won my biggest cash prize to date. Also, I took the 1st in the 35 plus age group, which meant a win in the UCI Granfondo and my very first UCI winners jersey. So guys, please remember, fancy bike is not your priority. It's what you do with the bike that makes the difference. Don't forget to check those discount links down below. You'll also support the channel by using them. I've got some gravel races coming up, so please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya!